A great new Markdown authoring framework, news from PyCon 2022 and Google I/O, and the ultimate 80s toy for aging millennials. All this and more on this episode of The Download. Welcome back to another episode of The Download. I'm your host, Christina Warren, Senior Developer Advocate at GitHub, and this is a show where we cover the latest dev news and the coolest projects across the web, so please like and subscribe for all that good stuff. My shirt this week is for NPM, which we will actually be talking about later, but this was actually my second choice. My first choice was an old iPod shirt that I had from like 2007, but unfortunately, just like my iPod Nano from 2007, I couldn't find it. Anyway, the reason that I mention this is because this week Apple announced that it has discontinued the iPod Touch, which was the last remaining member of the iPod family. And that means that after nearly 21 years, the iPod is no more. So pour one out for the realest of real ones. I don't really have anything more to add to this, except that I do have a link in the show notes in the description for a very cool JavaScript recreation of the old iPod video / classic interface, and it can actually even connect with Apple Music or Spotify. It's great, it's on GitHub, it's linked down below. Anyway, RIP to when music collections were quasi-legal and our iPods had breakout clones on them. Okay, moving on, we've got lots of product updates and dev conferences this week. So the first thing that I want to highlight is a brand new Markdown-based authoring framework from the folks over at Stripe, and it's called Markdoc. And the links are down below. And Markdoc, which was created by my pal, Ryan Paul, great work, Ryan, is extremely cool, and it was actually originally developed by Stripe for their own documentation site. But now basically anyone who's interested in building out a blog or a really big documentation or content site can use it too. There are more details in the Markdoc docs, naturally powered by Markdoc. But if you're familiar with MDX, this is sort of similar in that it lets you add React components into a Markdown file. But unlike MDX, the focus is on content and writing rather than programming. I'm a massive Markdown fan, and I really appreciate the approach that the Stripe team has taken to this and its general philosophy, so congrats to them. Thank you. Links are down below to their site, as well as the GitHub repo and the GitHub community. Also, nice logo, looks sort of familiar. Okay, speaking of Markdown, the latest Visual Studio Code update was just released, which is version 1.67 for April 2022. And this update brings a bunch of new features, but the stuff that I'm most excited about has to do with the native Markdown support. And so VS Code 1.67 includes the ability to create Markdown links by dragging and dropping files into the editor. Now, you can do this by dragging a file from the VS Code Explorer window into a Markdown doc. Just hold Shift while you drag it in, and it'll create a Markdown link. You can also do this from like an external application if you have an image on the web, for instance, and it'll create a link. And it's smart enough to distinguish between link types, so images will be treated differently from text. This is really great. There's also now some built-in options to finding all references to files for Markdown. So, references or headers, reference links. And if you work on a large documentation project that uses Markdown, this is going to be really, really great. There are a bunch of other new things in this release too, including TypeScript 4.7 support. More information is below. All right, moving on to some other product update news. There's some really great stuff coming for NPM accounts. And so security in the NPM ecosystem, that's my shirt, it's been top of mind over the past few months, thanks to some situations where compromised developer accounts have been basically led to packages being taken over. And this can really mess things up for people. It's not great. But one way to help prevent an account takeover is to have two-factor authentication on your NPM account. And that's an experience that the NPM team has committed to improving so that more maintainer accounts are as secure and protected as possible. And this week, the NPM team announced a public beta for a significantly improved 2FA experience to all NPM accounts. And as Miles details on the GitHub blog, this includes support for registering multiple second factors, like a YubiKey or a biometric device like a fingerprint or your face, as well as authentication applications. There's a new 2FA configuration menu to manage your keys and your recovery codes. There's CLI support for logins, and there's the ability to view and regenerate recovery codes. This is all really good stuff. And the NPM team is also continuing to enroll all of the maintainers of the top 500 NPM packages into 2FA for their accounts. This is really good for security. It's good for the ecosystem. More details are linked below. Now, it is developer conference season, and in the last couple of weeks, we've had both PyCon 2022 and Google I/O 2022. And I've got links for the overview from both of them down below, but here's some quick highlights. So at PyCon 2022, PyScript was announced, and it sounds amazing. PyScript is a framework that lets you run Python from HTML code. So like you can create Python apps in the browser, which is so cool. And you can use Python with JavaScript. This is completely sick. PyScript is actually based in part on WebAssembly, which is a technology that I've been obsessed with for the last couple of years. And although it is still extremely alpha, it is available on GitHub if you want to play around with it. Probably isn't production ready, wouldn't put in production, but it's at a place where you can experiment. I love this so much. Great job to the teams who worked on that. And from Google I/O, I wanted to congratulate the Flutter team on shipping Flutter 3.0. Flutter is Google's cross-platform UI framework, and it lets you build apps for Android, iOS, Windows, and the web. And now with 3.0, macOS and Linux. More details are down below, but I wanted to give a shout out to that team. And now it's time for my pick of the week. All right, so in the 1980s, toy companies realized that they didn't have to stop at just like buying ads for Saturday morning cartoons. And yes, for the kids who were watching, that was a thing back then. But they realized they could actually create cartoons themselves that were just half-hour ads for toys. Great, right? And anyway, that's how we got G.I. Joe and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Jim and the Holograms, and probably most famously, Transformers. And this is actually very cool. Lego has announced that it has created a giant Optimus Prime that is not just Lego, but it actually transforms. So it's a Lego Transformer that actually will turn into other things. Very cool. It goes on sale on June 1st. It'll retail for $170, excuse me. I actually think that's less than I paid for my Simpsons Lego house, so the price is not even terrible. But this is pure bait for aging millennials everywhere who will buy this under the guise of it being for their kids or their niece or their nephew. But look, we know the truth. This is gonna be in your office. It's gonna be visible on your Zoom calls from now on. I see you. I look forward to seeing this in many meetings in the future. Let me know in the comments down below what toy you would like to see Lego take on next. They made like this NES toy a couple of years ago. It was really cool. I think that was my favorite. But let me know in the comments and let me know your thoughts on any other stories. Again, if you like this video, like and subscribe on the GitHub YouTube channel for more nerdy goodness. See you next time.